Alan, great to see you today.
And you.
Tell us, what is the scale of the grid build-out needed in order to meet our Clean Power 2030 goals?
Well, huge is probably the easiest way to do it, but we talk about in gigawatts. 50 gigawatts is eye-watering as in terms of a number that needs to be connected to give clean power. To facilitate that, then it's the scale of infrastructure that's needed to build that is colossal, and the cost of that is in the figure of billions. So it's more than anything that's happened in terms of my lifetime. So it's the biggest build out we've ever had in our history, and we're looking at new ways to do that faster, and that's kind of the big challenge is how we take that on board and can make it happen at pace to meet the targets. So it's in no uncertain terms, it's the biggest thing we've ever done.
Do you think that there's been an industry shift from the focus on greater electrification, so the adoption of more renewables, now that's been partway achieved? Do you think there's now been a shift onto grid infrastructure and the challenges there in order to facilitate that?
I think so. When you look at renewable energy, so wind power is been around for close to 2 decades in terms of the technology that's there. So it's tried and it's tested, and it's a form of renewable energy that can help power us into the future. So naturally, with the growth in that sector, you need somewhere to connect it to get it to where it's needed. So that's naturally the shift into the grid infrastructure, and where the likes of SSEN Transmission's role is to build the network to connect that, and that comes with a huge amount of challenges, no doubt. And these are the things that we are actively working through now to make sure that we can actually design the network that's fit to do that. It's built in a way that's sustainable, and it can allow us to kind of transport the energy to where it's needed. So these are big challenges, but ultimately, the grid infrastructure is the main bit that we need to get right and build it at pace.
And are you confident that NESO, the National Energy System Operator, will be able to reorganise the grid queue in order to reduce bottlenecks?
Well, there's obviously been a shift in how that's prioritised. I think there's definitely a view that doing it in the kind of position that when the first build, that makes sense in terms of timelines. So the time will tell and say that approach will work, and because there's so many factors that are involved in making those timelines align, from the design right through to supply chain and beyond. So I think it's the approach that's the most pragmatic, and I think moving at that and everybody being aligned, that will help kind of move things on at pace.
Wonderful. So Alan, thank you so much today for your time. So a colossal challenge.
Yeah.
Getting infrastructure ready to meet our greater electrification needs. Thank you so much.
Thank you.